So it is a privilege for me to have been invited by Max Havelaar and Erasmus University. And it's a privilege to share the stage with Peter Blom and others. But above all, it's a privilege to stand in front of you with a bold message, I may say. I genuinely believe that true pricing is all but inevitable. It may take 2 years, it may take 3 years, perhaps even 5 years, but it will come. And why do I believe that? Because the current system is an anachronism, a misfit, a slate of clay in a time of tablets and smartphones. As you may know, it stems from an age when information traveled by carrier pigeon, money traveled by stagecoach, and intercontinental contracts by boat. Now, in that time, the current system may have been the best there was. But that can hardly be said anymore in a time when information travels by the speed of light, when money travels by the speed of light, when global deals travel by the speed of light. The world has changed. Our growth is meeting planetary boundaries. And our technology has changed. We've seen the advent of the internet. And also business is changing. Think, for instance, about corporate social responsibility, or fair trade, or fair banking. But what hasn't changed? Our pricing system. And it is not delivering. It has been squeaking under its own weight for some time, waiting for an alternative. And now that alternative has come, and I call it true pricing, but it's actually an old idea made possible by new technology. And it fits a broad trend in business towards the measuring of externalities. Now, 2 years ago, I probably would have told you why it's such a great idea. But by now, most decision makers agree on that. The question that is burning on people's mind is it not too good to be true? Is it really inevitable? So I'm going to tackle that question head on. After introducing true pricing, I will tell you why it is feasible and why, in my eyes, it is inevitable. And I will give you the economic reason, and I will give you the behavioral reason. So I can help that. I'm a behavioral economist by training. And then I will talk you through how it will happen. Now, I have to express some regret. I cannot offer you hard numbers today. So they're burning on the tip of my tongue. However, I cannot reveal them yet. So bear with my stories, and I will keep you interested. And the next time we meet, we will talk numbers. Yeah? But I have a very nice message at the very end. So, what is true pricing? And let's start with what is pricing. So in a free market, we are here at business school, so quite a few of you will know, the price is determined by many interactions, small and big, leading to supply and demand kind of balancing out. Now, and it's not such a bad idea, because by the free pricing mechanism, a lot of information about what people want, because everybody wants something, and what is actually possible in terms of production, comes down to a certain price. And in a well-functioning market, if supply exceeds demand, prices fall, and if demand exceeds supply, prices rise. Now, there's one crucial downside here. Business activity also has effects on society that happen outside of the market. And this creates costs and benefits that are not reflected in prices. So, sometimes governments actually prevent them, as we call internalized externalities. For instance, many governments outlaw the worst forms of pollution or child labor. However, governments have very little information, and supply chains are global, and the government has very little power outside of their jurisdiction, except for wiretapping, that is, of course. And political action is hard. So that means that many externalities remain. For instance, who has had a cup of coffee today? Okay. So in that cup of coffee, to produce that, there may have been underpayment, discrimination, scarce water extraction, CO2 emissions, the conversion of rainforest into coffee plantations. And we're not paying for those costs, so that means that the price that you've paid today is not true. Now, for a long time, we may not have been able to calculate true prices, but times have changed. So what is the true price, you may now ask? It is the retail price, what you're paying now, plus the net social and environmental costs along the supply chain or the life cycle of the product. Can also be net benefits, but typically they're net costs. And the true price reflects what you would be paying if consumers would pay for the costs or receive the benefits from the externalities. For instance, we've done some research on generic coffee from Brazil, and the result is that the true price is not that much higher, and that you can actually solve a lot of problems for a small investment. Now, more broadly, true pricing is the measurement of externalities and the integration of that into financial metrics. So just as we can calculate true prices, we can calculate the true profit and loss of a company, whereby you add to the financial profit and loss, the social profit and loss, and the environmental profit and loss. And we can do the same for the true returns of investments. Now, so true pricing is an information technology by which you feed information about the impact markets have on society right back into the market. Now, you may ask, this is a bit abstract. What does it mean concretely? Well, that if you go into the shop, you can see a label on the product that provides the true price as additional information. And that companies will drive the true price down so that the actual price becomes the true price. Now, a few things it is not, and it may be on your mind. So it's not an absolute truth. Yeah? We'll never know the true price. The true price is more of a quest, but is the quest best done by actually giving our best effort? And the number that rolls out, is it perfect? No. But it is a hell of a lot better than what we have now. It's also not a tax, because many people think in terms of externalities and taxes. It is information, and governments may use it to differentiate taxes. Low true price, low taxes, and the other way around. And it's also not an additional cost to consumers. Again, it may be used to set up a financing mechanism by which consumers voluntarily make a contribution to the true price. So now, your question perhaps is it feasible? Yes, it is. So first, transparency. Calculating true prices is not that complex. It just, you need the rules of arithmetics. So you need to count the externalities, you need to multiply them by their pricing, you need to add them up, and in the end you need to check them. So there are two challenges, to be honest. First, the management of all the data, and second, we need to agree on a price. Now, both can be solved in the current age. So first we can agree on an international standard for externalities. So in contrast to the 19th century, nowadays we can actually agree on standards internationally because the community is relatively flat. We've seen the Global Reporting Initiative actually make a global standard on sustainability reporting. We have global standards on how you measure environmental impacts along the life cycle. Recently, Professor John Ruggie even managed to forge a broad-based agreement on how we should deal with human rights in business. And we can also manage the information. So nowadays, we can measure exactly what goes into a factory or plant and what goes out. And we can handle lots of data. I mean, think about the human genome, think about Google. The technology is there. So at this point, you may think, well, if the benefits are so large, probably the costs are also large. It's a heuristic. But in fact, the investment to set up a reporting system for true pricing is quite small for a multinational, and even doable for an SME. So now we can do the transparency, but can we actually afford true prices? Yes, in the long term, prices will actually go down because we will conserve natural resources and we'll have less scarcity, but more about that later. The crucial question is it affordable in the short term? Again, yes. Why? Well, for starters, we're not advocating that we pay the difference between the true and the actual price, but rather that we drive the true price down. Now, if we would be paying the true price for exactly the same products that we have today, then prices would go up. But the whole idea of true pricing is that it changes what goes into your shopping cart. And that we have cheaper products in terms of true price by making them in a better way. Now, it is still early days, but from our current studies, the following pattern emerges. In each sector, there's quite a lot of variation in terms of true pricing, but always some alternatives exist that have a good true price and are affordable. And we can drive the true price down by feasible interventions for 4 reasons. First, you see that margins are typically quite high for end products. So, in those margins, you can absorb some additional costs. Second, and that's very important, is that the costs of preventing externalities are much lower than the externalities themselves. So, for instance, think about an accident at work that may have a huge impact, but typically preventing them has a low cost. Third, efficiency. We can become a lot more efficient. There's a lot of room for yields to go up in coffee, for instance. And fourth, innovation. So think about the pace at which the price of renewable energy has dropped due to innovation. So it can be done. Now, you may agree now with me, perhaps, that it is feasible, but I go one step further. It is actually inevitable, due to economics and due to psychology. First, economics. We are at a business school. So, the gains of true pricing are just too large to forego. Externalities are now very, very large. So it is estimated that we can gain some $10 to $20 trillion a year if we internalize environmental externalities. So when the market system we have now was conceived of, nature was basically free. Yeah? But due to increasing population growth, increasing economic development, and the ensuing scarcity, externalities have grown massively since that time. And we can, by internalizing those externalities, we can make sure we conserve water reservoirs, energy, rainforests, arable land for agriculture, and the climate. And prevent food and water and energy and everything to become very scarce. So actually, and think about it, we can save the planet by internalizing externalities, at least for some centuries. Now, in terms of the social upside, that is not smaller. Businesses can actually end poverty. Businesses have the ability to provide accessible goods to people and the income they need to buy those goods to almost everyone in the world. So it is not surprising that the economic and political forces to internalize externalities are mounting. And prices are already moving in the direction of true prices. For instance, Australia and China have started a CO2 scheme. And the corporate investments for water are projected to increase by 60% in just 5 years. And the prices of commodities have more than doubled since 2000. And China can in many places hardly be said to be a cheap labor country anymore. And our public tolerance for disasters like the BP oil spill or the implosion of the factory in Bangladesh is eroding. So, because the gains are so large from internalization, if our societies are just a little bit functional, we will internalize them. Now there's one barrier, and that is information. We don't know stuff. As Peter mentioned, we don't know what happened in that banana. And if we don't know the water that was necessary to produce that banana and the cost to restore the water table, then we cannot make sure that water is conserved in the regions where the bananas were produced. Now, the nice thing, and you may be getting it, true pricing provides exactly that information. So the story is very simple. If we want to have a prosperous future, we need to internalize externalities. And if we want to internalize externalities, we need to have true pricing. So, and now, the psychological reason. Every time we make a choice in the marketplace, we make quite an essential choice. Because you see that there are three options. You do something that is good to yourself, you do something that is good for others, or both. And true pricing makes that very transparent. Because market choices are very complex with lots of consequences and trade-offs. If you buy a t-shirt, you may think how much CO2 was in there, how much water was in there, how much underpayment was in there. Can I better buy a t-shirt from Bangladesh or China? What if the natural and the social impacts conflict? Do I need to switch brands? Can I afford that? And if you're a company, you face similar choices. Do I maximize profit or make all sustainable products or something in between? What the heck is sustainability anyhow? Now, in true pricing takes all that information and boils it down to a single criteria. And what about the complexity? Well, environmentalist avant la lettre, Henri Thoreau, wrote, "Life is frittered away by detail. Simplify, simplify." So true pricing simplifies such that in order you can see what choice is essential. And your choice is not frittered away by detail. Now, the best thing is that true pricing offers you a choice you can't ignore. Because it shows you how to do something that is good for the world and good for you. If you're a consumer, it shows you how to, which of your favorite products are good for the planet, good for society, and are affordable. If you're a company, it shows you how to make a profit and improve your impact on society. So once consumers have tasted true prices, the genie is out of the bottle and there's no way back. So now, how is it going to happen? You may think. 5 stages. Stage 1, internal transparency. You see a growing number of companies in some way or the other working on true pricing. And that is because they realize that it is essential to them to know what the material risks and opportunities are in their supply chain and do a thorough due diligence on that. And they can understand their crucial challenge, how to innovate to make products that have a better margin and a better impact. Stage 2, breaking out. In the coming years, and you can take my word for that, you will see an increasing number of companies showing their true prices. Why? Because for front-running sustainable companies have a strong incentive to show their true prices because they suffer from the intransparency in the market that allows all companies to say they're sustainable. 3, creating a norm. So we will create a norm as soon as a sufficiently high number of critical mass of early adopters, say 10 to 15%, adopt it. And then the passive mass will follow. And this process will be speeded up as true pricing becomes part of the public domain. So NGOs will integrate true pricing in their existing activities. So as a company, you won't be getting a certification, you won't be getting an award, and you won't be getting a good CO2 ranking if you're not even capable of showing your true price. So become a standard. Of course you report your true prices. And investors will ask for that, and consumers will love it, because it makes their life easy, and it's irresistible to compare. I mean, you want to know, what's the true price of that banana versus a certified banana? So true pricing will become part of the public domain in a way that integrated reporting, environmental product declarations, the circular economy will never be, and was never meant to be. Stage 4, codification. There will be several initiatives, and probably one standard will emerge, and then governments can use it in their procurement and purchasing. And stage 5, business as usual. Business as usual, yeah. Because what remains is that we need to internalize those costs if we have transparency and the benefits. And this will happen because consumers and investors and CEOs and employees want to have affordable products with a true price. And of course, governments can speed up the process, but they're not necessary. The sheer power of the market is going to be unleashed to drive true prices down. Entrepreneurs will deliver innovative technologies, and companies will compete to deliver products with an affordable true price. So this is going to be fun at this stage. Now, I'm going to end with 2 observations. First, look around. Look at the most innovative economic trends. The circular economy, the bio-based economy, the sharing economy, integrated reporting, impact investment, social entrepreneurship. They all fit much better with true pricing. With current pricing, we can make around 10% of our activity circular. Under true pricing, that can be 100%. So true pricing fits the time. Second, it is already happening. So Puma, sports shoes, they published their environmental profit and loss account in 2010. And now 10 companies are following their lead under the guidance of Richard Branson and former Puma CEO Jochen Seitz. And also our platform, we started in 2012, have now partners from business, finance, civil society, and government. And we're working on projects in the chemical sector, the food sector, and the construction sector. And as promised, I have an announcement to make. So, I can announce the first company in the world that is going to show a true price of a product. Now, are you curious? Okay. It's a great company, fast growing. Still curious? It's a delicious product. It's dark, and it's in this bag. So I can announce that we're working with Tony Chocolonely, a great chocolate maker, who will publish the true price of their dark chocolate bar, this bar, in the course of the coming year. So stay tuned and rest assured the genie is out of the bottle. Thank you.